without food, water, gas, electricity, and completely unsanitary conditions. This is how Severodonetsk lives now. The city is on the verge of a humanitarian disaster. This was reported by the head of the Luhansk Regional Military Administration, Serhiy Haidai. Russian troops have destroyed or damaged almost all critical infrastructure by shelling. Meanwhile, the occupiers are not going to rebuild anything. There is no centralized water supply, gas and electricity. There is a big problem with the sewage system. Treatment facilities do not work, as well as plumbing stations. Sewage is accumulating. Add to this the temperature of the air, which is now outside, and also the stench from the dead, those buried in the yards, and many of those who remain in apartments and entrances, as in one of the high-rise buildings in the new districts. A humanitarian disaster awaits Severodonetsk. Serhiy Haidai, head of the Luhansk Regional Military Administration, on Telegram. There are big problems with water and food in captured Mariupol and Liman. Mariupol residents have not received humanitarian aid from the Russian occupiers for months. People are dying because of the lack of medicine. There is a shortage of drugs for cancer patients, people with diabetes, tuberculosis, and thyroid problems.
It's been a month, even more than that.
What kind of drugs do you need?
Well, we need blood pressure medication and painkillers.
At the same time, Russian invaders continue to violate the rights of Ukrainians in the temporarily occupied territories and expand the network of filtration camps. The US mission to the OSCE found at least 18 Russian filtration camps on Ukrainian territory. People there are thoroughly examined, detained, tortured, or forcibly deported to Russia.
Most often, these are some kind of border booths, and both men and women are sexually abused there. I just have to remind you that forcing people to be naked is also sexual violence. We have evidence of intimidation, including rape, especially against young girls.
In order to intimidate people, a moratorium on executions was lifted in certain districts of the Donetsk region. 3 foreigners from the United Kingdom and the United States who had fought on the side of Ukraine had already been sentenced to death.
The practice of death penalty intimidation has existed before. We cannot say for sure whether the death sentences have been carried out, but we can say that after February 24th, the practice of death penalty intimidation continues. We know that US and Croatian citizens have been detained and that trials may also have begun or have already begun. Accordingly, we can interpret this as pressure on the international community.
Russian invaders in the occupied territories forcibly mobilized civilians for the war against Ukraine. For example, in the Luhansk region, according to Serhiy Haidai, the occupiers allegedly invite men for high-paying jobs and then take them away to fight, using them as human shields. The Ukrainian authorities urge people to leave the occupied territories and hotspots whenever possible. Reported by Pavlo Stelmach, Vlada Tsurkan, UATV News.